Hi everyone, this is Ellie, and right now we're going to be working on taking this formula and turning it into horizontal or vertical and graphing hyperbolas. So this is going to be a little bit long and painful, so I added some colors to try to make it better, and you should probably grab some tea or something because everything is better with tea or coffee. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start with is this formula, and we want to make it into horizontal or vertical. So we have to pick one of these, and we're going to go with horizontal. Why? Well, because we know that x is positive and y is negative, and we already see that set up. So our first step in making this look like this is we're going to do completing the square. So we're going to take all of our variables, all of our x's and y's, and put them together. So we have x squared minus 2x and negative y squared minus 4y. Then we can add over our 7, and we get equals positive 7. Okay, and one thing that I can do with this is I can take out the negative and just have negative and then y squared plus 4y. And that looks a little bit more like this. And so next what we're going to do is we're going to find our other variable in here, our last one. So the way that we do this in completing the square is we have b over 2 and all of that squared. So we would have, so we take our negative 2 over 2, and that's going to be negative 1, square that, and it's going to be 1. So now we have x squared minus 2x plus 1. Sorry, this is like all kind of around here. I'm sorry. And then we're going to do the same with our negative y squared plus 4y. So we have 4 over 2, and that's going to be 2. Square that, and that's going to be plus 4. So now we have negative y squared plus 4y plus 4. Remember, whatever we do on these sides, we have to do on the other side as well. So we still have our 7. So now we add 1, as we did on the left side. And this time we're going to subtract a 4 because we have to add out this negative sign. So it's going to be negative 4. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is factor these out. That's pretty easy because they're already perfect squares. So we know that this is going to be x minus 1 when we factor it out. And this is going to be negative y, what is this, plus 2. There we go, and all of that squared. I'm sorry, it's kind of like everywhere. And then we can add all of our 7 and 1 and negative 4, and that's going to get us 8 minus 4. It's going to be 4. Okay, and so now what we have is we have x minus 1 squared minus y plus 2 squared is equal to 4. And right now we need a 1, sorry, and an a and a b. So we're going to divide everything by 4. And luckily for us, this is where we get our a squared and our b squared, because let me write this out. So we have it equal to 1. This is over 4, and this is over 4. Well, we know that if we can just square root 4, because we have our a squared and our b squared, this is just going to be 2 squared for both of these. So that means that this is our a squared, and this is our b squared. So this is really our formula right here. And that's the first step, is that we have it into a formula. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to graph. And so I'm going to move this a little bit, if that helps. See, I kind of taped it down. So let's see. There we go. Okay, so now we have our formula over here, and we're trying to graph it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find our center. Now, as you can see up here, the center is h and k, and we can see that from our formula, which is over here, but we can see it from the formula that we just made, that h is going to be 1, because remember, it says that we're moving, this is negative, but we're going to be moving right, and y is going to be negative 2, because we're going to distribute the negative sign. So this is our center, so we can go 1, negative 2, and there's our center. Oh, I can do this with colored ones, and that could be a little bit better. Okay, this in green is our center. The next thing that we want to do is find our vertices, or actually create the box. So creating a box, that's really, what it does is it just helps us to actually graph our hyperbolas. And so when we create the box, we're going to be using our a and b values, yes. So A is the horizontal distance from the center to the box, and B is the vertical distance from the center to the box. Well, we know that A squared is equal to 2 squared, and if we square root these, obviously, A is going to be 2, and if we square root B, again, B is going to be 2 as well. So taking what we know, that A is the horizontal distance from the center to the box, we can say, well, horizontal, we can go right 2, and right here, there's another point on our box. We can go left 2 from the center. There's another point. We do the same with B, which just happens to be 2. We can go down 2, there we go, and up 2. And this is our box. So now I can just kind of like draw this fake box with little lines, if that's helpful, so that we can actually see that it's a box and not just some random points. And helpfully for us is that these little dots that we made with our A are actually our vertices. Vertices. Sorry, my handwriting is so ugly. Okay, so our vertices are going to be -1, -2, -2, and 3, -2. And for anyone who maybe is better with formulas, these are the formulas, or just written out the ways that we can get our vertices, our foci, our center, our eccentricity, stuff like that. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to find our, the next thing that we need to do is make our asymptotes. So by doing that, we just go through the corners of our box, right here about, I'm just taking this kind of like straight edge thing, and we can just draw our asymptotes out. There's one, and another, and we're just drawing through the sides of our box. Oh, wait, one more. There we go, like that. Okay, and so the next thing that we need to do is we can just really draw our hyperbolas. And so when we do that is we're taking from the vertex, which we already have, and actually I'll use another fancy color, and we're drawing out to our asymptotes like this. So this is actually kind of the easiest part, is just drawing our asymptotes. And also, so I made my asymptotes vertical, and I did that because we know that we're using the I'm so sorry. I made my asymptotes horizontal because we know that we are using the horizontal formula, and that just means that our hyperbolas are going to be facing out right and left. So that's kind of how I did that. Okay, so we have a few last things to do before we are done. First, what we need to do is we need to find our foci, which is just points over here. And so the foci, how we find that is going to be H plus C and then K, and H minus C and K. So what we haven't done is we haven't found our C yet. So how will we do that now? We know that A squared is going to be 4, which, 2 squared. B squared is going to be the same. We know that that is going to be C squared. Well, 8 is equal to C squared. Square root of that is going to be 2. Square root of 2 is our C. So now we have our C, and so what we need to do is we're taking basically our center and our center x variable, or yes, x variable, and we are adding our C. So this is going to be 1 plus 2 square root of 2, and then our K, which is -2, and then 1 minus 2 square root of 2, and then -2. Sorry, that goes like way into the graph. But this is going to be our foci, and then we also need to plot that. So let's see, 1 plus can be somewhere over here, I think. Yep, that's about right. And you probably want to use a calculator for that when you're plotting that. And then, so the last thing, one of the last things that we need to do is also find our eccentricity. So that is just C over A. So we know that C, so eccentricity, here, let me write that out. If that is C over A, well, C over A, we know that our C is going to be 2 square root of 2. Put that all over 2, and these cancel out, and our eccentricity is just going to be square root of 2. so now the very last thing that we need to do is find our asymptotes. So I'm just going to label this asymptote. Here, I'll use purple. This one is going to be A, just so that we don't confuse them. This one is going to be B. So when we do our asymptotes, really what we're just finding is the linear equation, and then we're going to be done. So okay, so, and I'll just label A just so that it's kind of, we can kind of see it. There's A, and there's B. Okay, so now we just need to find the line. Okay, so we know that the slope, so it's y equals. We can look at A, we're going up 2 over 2, so that's going to be 1, and it hits the y-axis at -3, so it's x minus 3. That's our line. And for our B asymptote, going up 2 over -2, and that's going to be -x. And hit the y-axis at -1, so that's -1. And that is all that we have to do for graphing. So we are basically done now, and that's awesome. So good job, good luck on the rest of the homework.